Welcome to Mindless Entertainment. My name is Jesse Milestone, and I just gotta say, I am so deeply pleased to hear about this petition to have Brie Larson step down as Captain Marvel. This petition that says, no, you're not good enough. The whole thing, it's perfect. What, just last week I made a video saying that she's what has she actually done for women, because she's never actually done anything activist-wise to help women out. She walks around acting like she's an ally and she wants to promote diversity, but what does she actually do except for try to find more diverse people who get the privilege of interviewing her? Because getting to speak to her is such a privilege. Everyone should be glad to do it. But she shouldn't have to give anything up. No. Change is not about sacrifice. Change is not about giving anything up. She wants to promote diversity as long as she gets to be the one on top, which is essentially what a lot of these things in the petition said. The petition basically says that if Brie Larson wants to prove she's actually an ally and prove that she wants to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, that she should step down from the role as Captain Marvel, therefore allowing it to be passed on to someone playing Monica Rambeau, and that the character should be gay as well, because the most virtuous thing in the world is having a gay black lead for something, and anybody who is gay and black is obviously amazing and can do no wrong, and we should overlook anything else, any other factors or qualifications about them, because those are the only things that matter in order to be virtuous. More on that in a minute. I have some feelings about that one too. But I'm just laughing at the hilarity of this. And for me, sitting here saying the same things, like, if you really feel this strongly about these things you're saying, that's the action you should be doing. So I'm glad that there are at least some people waking up, calling BS on her, being like, yeah, if you really are who you say you are, if you really can't stand for the things you say you stand for, why'd you take this role? You're a privileged white girl who grew up in Hollywood. Why'd you take this role? You're the epitome of privilege. Why did you take on this role? Because somehow you think that you're gonna. I mean, like she said in that interview where she and Jeremy Renner were being interviewed, where she uses her platform to do good, but she thinks she needs the platform in order to do good, as opposed to Jeremy Renner, who's just like, nah, I just do good and hold myself accountable every day. I don't need this platform or this status to do it, but she does, because without it, she's absolutely nothing, because she's just a heinous individual that nobody likes. So, it's just cracking me up, the poetic justice of the situation, to have the people that she claims to champion for, who, by the way, never asked for her as their champion, to be the ones turning around being like, you're not good enough for us, because you're just doing things to benefit you. What have you done to benefit literally anybody else who isn't you? So good on you, community, for calling her out for those things. Now to the other part of that, which is like, yeah, I think it's a more powerful I think it's, first of all, Monica Rambeau is more interesting as a Captain Marvel for all intents and purposes. For as little as I know about the characters, Carol Danvers is low on the list of Captain Marvels, is much better known as Miss Marvel anyway. And so why would you pass up a chance to utilize this fascinating character who also happens to be black? As a way of like, hey, we don't have any female black superheroes, so that would be, I mean, it was Valkyrie, but she doesn't have her own movie or anything like that. It'd be a great, it'd be good for you guys. It's a double win, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It's a double win. You win the diversity crowd by being like, look at us, we did the thing, we cast a person of color, which makes us better than all of you, as well as winning over perhaps Marvel fans by creating a better Captain Marvel, a good character that people are interested in and care about, provided you write her a good story and don't just rely on the fact that because you think that you don't have to write a good story just because it's a person of color. In fact, the onus is on you even more to do so, because as it's been pointed out by all of the social justice warriors over and over and over again, there are so few of these stories. So great. I love this, by the way, tangent here. When people were like, oh, it's great. I actually read an article where they were like, Captain Marvel is just okay, and that's a win. Because just as we have tons of mediocre male superhero movies, we need to have female mediocre superhero movies. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're the people decrying the fact that we don't have enough of these stories. When you write them, you should make them goddamn good. Because the whole point is that if you're telling a story of somebody who represents a group of people whose story doesn't get told in this way very often, it's a chance, it's an opportunity for them finally to get that story told. Fucking make it a good story. Come on. Or is that how little you feel? And that becomes its own version of tokenism and racism, which really, social justice warriors, especially people like Brie Larson, that's all it is. It's just another version of racism wrapped up in tokenism, because that's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing here is we did enough. We did enough that we made your character female. We don't have to do anymore. We did enough that we made your character black. So we don't have to do it. We don't have to make it a good character. As we did with Finn in Star Wars. Oh, we made your character black. So we don't actually have to do any more to make it a good character, to give him a good backstory, to make it good writing. No, that's enough. I mean, how effing condescending is that? And so people are calling that out, calling Brie Larson out for exactly that. But again, so my issue here, though, the issue, once again, is this concept of acting, right? Obviously, if you're making Monica Rambeau Captain Marvel, you have to cast a black person because that just makes sense. It's part of her character. It's just what you should do. Blah, words. Now, this business of you should cast a gay actor to play a gay part, no, that's like, there are plenty of gay actors who play straight people all the time. That's not a thing. There's nothing to do with, it's called acting for a reason. I mean, anybody can relate to that kind. That's the whole thing, is like, the whole point of acting is that you learn how to relate to people who aren't you. Brie Larson won an Academy Award for Room. She certainly has never had trauma in her life, but somebody thought she related to that. Probably because she thinks she has trauma, because probably every time she goes through a day and 10 people don't call her pretty, oh my god, that's trauma. But you have people play murderers. They don't have to be a murderer to play a murderer, to relate to the psyche of becoming a psycho killer. So to say that you actually have to be a gay character to relate, or you have to be a gay person to relate to a gay character is utter nonsense. It's utter horseshit. And it's just hurting. Once again, you saw this with the movie that I've heard nothing about, that for all intents and purposes is probably not happening. The one that Scarlett Johansson was supposed to play a transgender person in, and since she got pulled from that movie, I've heard nothing about it. I'm not sure if it's going forward anymore. So what you're saying is basically because you can't have a little bit, you want it all, you're going to sacrifice the opportunity to tell an important story, to tell a story of a transgender person that wouldn't normally get told, and you're going to tell it in a big way by having a major Hollywood celebrity play this character. You're going to sacrifice that opportunity to have that story told because it's not enough. Because now you need a trans person actually playing that character. It's like, do you understand what rights are? I mean, moving forwards, and you do so much by telling a really good story that targets, that's about people who struggle, people in a minority group who struggle. You tell a really, really good story. It doesn't matter who the fuck plays the characters. You tell the story and you tell it well, and people respond to it and relate to it and feel it, and it makes a difference. It moves somebody, it inspires somebody, it changes someone's mind on something. Telling that story is so much more important than making sure the right minority person is playing that role. Because the reality is, if there is an option to have a minority person, a gay person, let's say, play a certain role, if that person is available to do this role, that person is a working Hollywood actor. So they don't need your help necessarily. And by refusing to make the movie as big or as prominent as it could be, just simply to try to give that one person a chance, you're depriving potentially thousands, maybe millions of other people, maybe other people who have struggles that relate. They don't have to necessarily be. That's the whole thing. Is when you tell a story like that, when you tell it like a minority struggle story, it's not just people who look that way or feel that way or are that type of person that relate to it. It's all people who struggle, not even necessarily minorities. Plenty of people who are not in protected minority classes relate to the feeling of oppression and struggle. And so if you can tell a good story that's a good, heartfelt human story that relates to a minority struggle, everyone can relate to that. It's when you tell these crappy stories that are predicated entirely upon someone's identity that no one relates to it. And when you make these issues about like, oh, it's more important to have an LGBTQ actress play this role than it is to tell a good story and to cast the right person for the role, you're hurting the story, and you're hurting the story. The reach, the impact of casting that one person affects that one person, and maybe inspires the handful of other people who are also making a serious bid at becoming an actor or an actress. If you tell that story, and you tell that story well, now you have the opportunity to influence hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people. So think about that, crazy social justice warriors. Next time you want to have a freaking hissy fit. Next time you want to make your demands. Like, I'm the one. I'm down for making Maria Rambeau, or Monica Rambeau. I'm down for calling out the hypocrisy of you say you're effing ally and you're the savior, you're God's chosen savior, Brie Larson, because you're not. I'm down for all of these things. What I'm not down for is we have to make sure that the person who plays this role is the most minority version of that person that we possibly find, because that doesn't help anyone except that one person. and like your own egos, people who are saying these things. Like, again, if you have time to be, as much as I appreciate the hilarity of this petition, if you have time to go around caring about this petition on the internet, you're not that oppressed. So, and if that's the kind of representation you're looking for, you're not struggling as much as plenty of other people. So go find those people who are actually struggling and help them instead. Maybe think of that for once. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got to say. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and press the like button. Click that video popping up, says get involved with me. Buy my Jesse Shoots First shirt. It's awesome. You'll want one. That link for that video, by the way, will link you to my Patreon. It'll give you information on how to access my Patreon, my postal box, my P.O. box, social media. I'm on Instagram as Mindless Entertainment. I'm on Twitter as Jesse Milestone. So all those things, awesome. You guys are amazing. I can't do this without you. So thank you so much for being here. God Empress out.